Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for being here today. A significant portion of this webinar will feature a live demonstration showing the steps necessary to get a Read Live account set up and ready for student use. As Christy mentioned, everyone will receive a recording of the webinar. Feel free to play it back and pause here and there when you need to. It can be a lot to take in all at once. But all right, let's get started. If you feel that I'm going too quickly, please let Christy know and she'll be able to slow me down a little bit. Let's get started. The agenda and processes I'm demonstrating follow along with the steps and instructions you have in the handout. There is a link in the chat box if you still need that handout. It's a great takeaway in case you don't get to use what you learn right away and need a refresher when the time comes. You will also receive a copy of the handout in a follow-up email after the webinar. Our agenda for today is the Read Live suite of products, ClassLink rostering and single sign-on, Clever single sign-on, Google single sign-on. We'll talk about logging in, adding schools, adding staff members. We're going to add a couple of students individually, and then we will move into the importing process, and then additional tools for teachers after this training. With the subscription to Read Live, your students have access to the entire suite. They have 4 highly effective applications that will help make students better readers. Read Naturally Live, our flagship application designed to improve reading fluency, promote vocabulary, and support comprehension. Content includes material for early 1st grade to 8th grade students. Word Warm-Ups Live is Read Naturally's research-based phonics intervention. Its audio-supported lessons allow individualization of phonics instruction and enable students to work independently. Content includes 3 levels, 1, 2, and multisyllabic words. 1 Minute Reader Live is an independent, structured reading activity for developing readers. Content is geared toward early 1st grade readers to mid 5th grade readers, and students can independently work without teacher support. And finally, Read Naturally Live Espanol. The entire student Read Naturally Live interface is delivered in Spanish for bilingual learners, and the content contains levels 1.0 to 5.6. Let's first talk about ClassLink rostering with single sign-on. Okay, so if your school is a ClassLink school, we can set up ClassLink rostering and single sign-on. It is combined, it is all together. So it is rostering and single sign-on. The ClassLink administrator, along with the ClassLink administrator, along with the Read Live administrator, configure the integration in the Read Live staff module. And I am going to show you that once we get through a couple of these slides. Once it's configured, students' access is managed in ClassLink. So your rostering is handled within ClassLink itself. Again, here's a support number to reach out to if you have any questions on ClassLink rostering and single sign-on. I do want to note that single sign-on options are not supported on mobile devices as on iPad. We also we provide Clever single sign-on. I want you to note the difference. ClassLink was rostering and single sign-on. Our Clever solution is single sign-on only. Again, a Clever administrator would request the Read Live app within Clever. The Read Live administrator, along with the Clever administrator, will configure the district ID in the staff module. If the email address and then students are added manually or via the import that we're going to talk about. So rostering does not come from Clever. We still need to get our students added, and we can do that manually or via the import, which contains that student email address. So if the email address in Read Live matches an email address in Clever, and the student has that Read Live app in their Clever dashboard, they will be able to log in using single sign-on. Again, reach out to us in support if you need any additional help. And once again, it's not supported on an iPad. Google single sign-on is another way that you can get your students logging in without additional credentials. Import students using our import process, or students can be added manually. The email address is required. There needs to be a different import for each school if you do have multiple schools in an account. So this would be so one import per school. Students would use this special link or address to authenticate with Google. And then schools can deliver that address to students in a variety of ways. For example, you could include the link on a classroom page within a Google Classroom, and then invite students to that classroom. You can also bookmark the link in the browser. I follow it. So that is our Google single sign-on. So I'm going to now switch over to do a demonstration here. So I'm going to actually log in to a Read Live account. A staff member login page is at readlive.readnaturally.com. Student or staff members can log in here. I'm going to choose staff member. You would enter the account ID that you've been assigned to, your and your Read Live credentials. Typically, it's first initial, last name, and then your password. And this is our beginning page. You can choose to go to orientation and resources. This page will also walk through the essential steps needed to get students up and running. Again, we're going to add schools and staff members. We're going to add students either manually or import. And then what we do once the students have been rostered in Read Live. So that is our home page. Or that is the initial page. So this is orientation and resources. If I click this navigation over here, I'm just showing some ways that you can navigate the application to efficiently use Read Live. So the navigation on the upper left will take you anywhere that the home page would take you. The home page will tell you which what actions you can do within a tile. So in a setup situation, we'll start at account and school administration. And this is a summary of our account, how many licenses I have, how many are available when my subscription ends, the name of my account, who my main account contact is, and then the schools within my account. Typically, you will start a brand new account with one school, and it would be named My School. You can just click on it and overtype what you would like this to be named. And save and close. And now your name has been changed. If you need to add additional schools within your account, just click the Add School button. You'll name the school, and then you'll decide how you want to deal with licensing. So an account has a number of licenses. So my account had 200 licenses, and I just added a fourth school. So right now, this school can use any available license within the account. Doesn't matter what they can use anything that might be available. But now, if this school has purchased a certain number of licenses, you can say reserve exactly this many. Okay, so this school bought 15, so I'm going to reserve 15 for this school specifically. Okay, I'm going to leave it at schools can use anything available, and I'll save and close. And now I have my second school that I've added here. I'm going to go back to the navigation, the icon in the upper left. Our next logical step is staff member administration. I do want to point out that schools and staff members need to be added manually or individually, as I'm doing right here. So again, I was at the navigation and I went to staff member administration, and now I'm going to click add staff member. I'm going to name this, give the role of teacher. The roles are identified. The things that a role is able to do are identified at the top, and the X's indicate which role can do that task. Um, if you want a more granular explanation of roles, you can click here, learn more about roles, and this is all the specifics on what each role is can possibly do. I'm going to name her a teacher. I'm going to select the school that I want her associated with and give her an email address so that I can send her an email. So here it says success, a temporary email or a temporary password has been sent to that person. And they now have an email with a temporary password and instructions to get set up their own password. This in the staff module, you may get questions if you're an administrator. I can't log in. My account says it's locked. That is this column here, unlock user ID. If your teacher is locked, this will be dark as the reset button is right now. It will be dark. You would just click it and it would unlock. Your teachers and administrators can always call us in support and get it unlocked as well. If a teacher forgets their password, you can also click this reset button. It will send them a new password to get logged in, to get logged back in. You would continue on adding your staff members. It is beneficial, not necessarily, not you don't have to do it, but it would be beneficial if you can identify your teachers before you enter your students, but not necessary. I'm going to again click the navigation and go on to my next step, which is my student administration. And we have a number of options here for the first thing right now. I'm going to show you the single sign-on. When I talked about initially ClassLink, Google, and Clever, this is where that is going to be configured. So again, it's under Student Administration, Single Sign-On Setup, and you will choose your provider. If you are choosing ClassLink, this is where you need your ClassLink administrator to help complete this configuration. They will have the necessary information to complete. The instructions are listed here. Once complete, they would click Save and then finish the implementation on the ClassLink side by sharing the application with students and setting a import rule that will look for changes. Same thing here with Clever. You would click Clever if this is your desire. The district ID comes from the district Clever administrator. Once that is entered, click Save, and you're ready to add or import students for Clever. I'm going to go back one more. And if you're a Google Classroom school, you would just click on Google Classroom, click Save, and again, we would be at adding or importing students. I'm going to go back to my student administration, and I'm going to go to student setup. First, I want to show you a couple of things as you're looking at students and trying to narrow your list that you're looking at. These filter lines in front of each column heading, the 3 lines in front of the column headings, is a filter. So I could filter by BAN and click apply. So anybody with the last name starting with BAN in the last name would be listed only. This funnel here indicates that you do have filter set. And to clear the filter, you would just, again, click the 3 lines, click reset, and now you are back to your entire list of students. I want to show you one more way of selecting multiple students at a time. So let's say I want to select these first 15 kids. I can check the very first student box. So as I did here, I am scrolling or maneuvering or managing to get to the bottom of my list, wherever that is, however I get there. Once I'm at the bottom of the list, hold your shift key down and click that last student box. All students in between would have been selected, and you can now make changes in bulk by selecting multiple students at a time. This is specifically going to be available to school coordinators and account administrators. Teachers can do this individually, but administrators are able to do it in bulk. So I'm just going to clear that selection here. I'm going to add a couple of students manually here to know that even even if you are not using Google, Clever, or ClassLink, we still need to add our students. Okay, so you can add them manually, one at a time, um, uh, just filling in the required fields. Status is always default to active. I need a grade. I need to select the school that the student is in. Homeroom is not required. This student user ID, I'm going to say is Jenny J. This is what this student, okay, so now this is a student who is not using Clever, ClassLink, or Google, okay? So they need a student user ID to log in. Jenny J, I'm creating it. You can use whatever it is you want to use. First name, last initial, a lunch number ID, a student ID, something that's familiar to them that they can identify with. Um, email address, I want you to note email address is required if you want to do Google or Clever SSO. So email address is a required field if you choose Clever or Google single sign-on. The password here, the password is what the student will use when they log into our website, our readlive.readnaturally.com. If they were using Clever or ClassLink or Google, they would be this would be overridden, and the student would be logging in with those credentials, Clever credentials, or their ClassLink or their Google credentials. For my sake, Jenny's going to be logging into the Read Live website, so I'm going to make her password the same as her user ID. So Jenny J is her user ID, and Jenny J is her password. I'm going to license this student. I will say yes. A student cannot work in Read Live until they've been assigned a license. I am going to select the student's lead teacher, and I will give access to any of those 4 applications in the suite that I referred to earlier. I am going to add word warmups, and I will save and add one more. And I'm going to go John Smith. Typing isn't so good today. Grade, we'll put second grade. We'll choose the school, JOHNS, JOHNS. License the student, say yes. Choose the lead teacher. This is where administrators, if you have teachers give you class lists, this makes it easier on you to be able to add if you have those students and you know who they're going to be assigned to. Okay, so I just added a couple of students manually. I just want to show you that you can add manually. They don't have to be imported. But if you do have a group of students or 10, more than 30 probably, importing might be the best way for you. So I showed you adding students. We showed how to filter. I am going to throw away. So now we are going to talk about importing. Okay, so we're back in the staff module again. I was on the student administration page. I'm going to click the house again just to get us back in back to where we were at. So again, these first three tiles were our setup tiles. The others are going to be those that teachers and administrators use to manage and work with students. I'm going to show the import now. So again, student administration. This time we're going to student import. And for our purposes here, I'm going to click, this is the importing student data um, uh, steps and what is required. This is the nitty gritty of importing students. I do want to put out there, if you have any administrators, we do support one roster file. So if you can get a one roster file from your student information system, we do support that as well. The other way for other administrators to add students is this import file, where it's a commonly used CSV file. For our purposes today, I'm opening it up in Excel, but can be opened in uh, Numbers, Google Sheets, whatever you would like. So this is the template. This is a raw import template. I just expanded the columns so that we can read them all. In this import, and again, this is in lieu of adding manually. So you have a group of students you want to add. So you're going to fill out this import. You can export out of your student information systems and copy and paste into here if you'd like. That is just one method of getting student information. The required fields, leave all the column headings as they are listed. This is a requirement of our application, so leave them all as listed. Those that are required, I'm going to note with just an X in the field. So student first name, student last name, student grade, student user ID, and student password. Now remember, the student user ID and student password is only used if you're using our login, our website, readlive.readnaturally.com. If you are using ClassLink, Clever, or Google, these do need to be here and you have to have data here, but they will be overridden by Clever, ClassLink, or Google, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And the last piece of information, while it is not required as part of the import, student email address is required if you choose to do Google single sign-on or Clever single sign-on. So regardless if you know or don't know, this is a handy field to have down the road. So if you know it, I would add it, and if it's convenient to do that. The contact relation information, contact relationship would be mother, father, free form text, first name contact, last name contact, and email address. This would be the email address of the parent, and that would allow us to email the parent from within the application. And you have room to do 2 contacts per student. Okay. So that is what require that is the format of the CSV. You would save this CSV on your desktop or somewhere that you are known, that you know where to find it. And once you are done with your CSV file, you've populated 30, 40 students and their data, you would save that file. I'm going to minimize this and go back to my account management. So this again is the detailed instruction, what the fields mean, how many characters you can have, all that kind of stuff. But again, what you're really interested in is this downloadable template that's on page 2. So once you filled that out, and I have one ready, you're going to come back to student administration, student import. You're going to browse to your template, and I have one here. Importing students. Okay, so this is the file I created. So I just browse to it. I'm going to tell it which school I want those students to be added to. And then I'll click next. All right, and so here, this is a good option. Errors have been detected in your file. Please correct them and try again. So I'm going to review my errors. And the yellow indicates the error, the problem. And this is just going to tell me that there's a blank line in that file. So I'm going to just cancel. I would go back to my import file, fix it. Let me find, I'm not going to open it. And here's my problem. I have a space here in my import. So I'm going to delete that cell. I'm going to save it again. And now I will go back to read live, and I'm going to browse again. And I'm going to, after I fixed my errors, I'll just look at it one more time, select my school again. And now here's what I see. There are doesn't look to be any problems. This is what's going to be imported. I'll click next. Clicking next proceeds the scheduling. And the schedule is to run overnight. Imports are run overnight as to not disturb our production environment, and you will receive an email when the import is complete. Okay, and you say okay, and now we're back to our import file. So now we're pretending it's tomorrow. Our students have been added. They are in the student setup um, um, place. So this is where all students are listed, is under student setup. I'm going to look here at all licensed students. And so I'm pretending these are the kids that were added that are not licensed, okay? And a lot of these kids are at Northview. Okay, so it is the next day. I'm back on my home page. Now my students need to be assigned a license in order to work. Okay, they've been added, but they do need to be assigned their lead teacher. So I'm going to go to student administration, student licensing. I'm going to select my school. I'm going to filter by not licensed because they were brand new students and they are not licensed. This is your bulk licensing option for administrators. I can filter by grade. So I am only looking at my second graders or first graders or kindergartners. There I go. I have 3 kindergartners. My kindergartners, I all want to be assign licenses to selected, to Claire, and I'll say okay. And now they go away because they've been licensed. Okay, so I'm going to clear this filter. I'm back to all my students. I'm going to filter by now my 5th graders. And my 5th graders, click, hold your shift key, click, assign licenses to selected, choose, I'm going to choose myself for these kids lead teacher and say okay. So now what happens, these teachers, these students that have been assigned to those lead teachers, when those lead teachers log in, they will find their students on the Read Naturally Live tile, okay? They're going to be right here. And these are all the students that have been assigned to everybody in the school. And now your next step is placement. So that is a very big deal. But we have just now added all of our students. We have assigned licenses in bulk. And that will end the demonstration of importing students. I want to point you to our help page. We have a lot of resources on our Read Naturally Live help page. If you just go to readnaturally.com, under Read Live Help, there are lots of resources. This is a very valuable page. Please reach out to this page if you need help. Our training page as well. If you look under training, this is also a number of really good resources for teachers. And of course, our support numbers that are at the end of my presentation here. I thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. With that, I will close. Thank you for joining us today.